very good morning, everyone. It gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you for day 2 of the 16th edition of India Digital Summit, Supercharging Startups, organized by IAMEI. The summit is supported by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India, and Niti Aayog. I'm your host for this session, Latika from IAMEI. Thank you for being such an amazing audience over the day 1 and joining us for day 2. Over 100 speakers and 40 plus sessions. I would like to quickly thank our partners who have supported us to make this conference successful. Our digital financial management partner, EaseBus, conversational messaging partner, Gupshup, session partner, GoQuick, gold partners, Manorama Online, Blink Digital, and Yellow.ai, and of course, silver partners, ShareChat. Once again, welcome to the opening session of day 2, a very, very amazing session. I had some really great sneak peek in the green room. A fireside chat on new age of India's startup ecosystem, where I have Vijay Shekhar Sharma, founder 197 Communications Paytm, who is, in my words, the man who saw tomorrow. And of course, in conversation with him is Rajan Anandan, Managing Director, Sequoia Capital. Rajan, in my words, is man with the Midas touch. Over to you, Rajan. Thank you.
Or I would rather say the man who built tomorrow, helps people build tomorrow.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Latika, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to be back in an IAMEI forum. It's been a couple of years since I've been at this forum, and it's my true pleasure to be hosting this fireside chat with Vijay, who obviously needs no introduction, but I shall introduce him regardless. So what we're going to do is, Vijay, I'm going to ask a bunch of questions. Vijay, I did a tweet asking, for DMs. Do you know how many questions I got? Like a huge amount, Vijay. So I've tried to take some of those questions and I'll try to weave them into the questions that I asked. We will not take any live questions because I got like so many questions. It's only fair that I try to include some of those questions as we go through it. So let me start with a brief introduction. Look, unless you've been, I assume most of you are either from India or Southeast Asia, maybe a few of you are dialing in from other parts of the world, but unless you've been living under a rock, I would say probably for the last decade, certainly for the last 3 years, you either have heard of, in many cases, most of you have probably already met Vijay Shekhar Sharma. Vijay is the founder and CEO of Paytm. Paytm is a part of 197. Vijay is an overnight success, not really. Vijay started his company in the late 1990s, and I think that's characteristic of all the amazing founders that we know around the world. There is no such thing as an overnight success. Vijay, I'm quite humored these days that there are companies that go from unicorn to founding, to unicorn in 1 year or even 6 months, because as you know better than anybody else, it takes many decades to actually build a great company. Like we'll talk about, I think all of you know what Paytm is, what Paytm is not. But I think what I wanted to do was, just sort of describe Vijay as sort of a perennial, relentless, never give up entrepreneur, right? And Vijay, when you went public, I got lots of questions, around what do I think about the IPO, and oh my God, what's going on in the IPO? In fact, it's my first question I'll start with anyway. But what I try to tell folks is, actually, 3 or 4 years ago, Vijay, everybody had written off Elon Musk. Right. And I don't know whether you recall this, but basically, Tesla was almost on the verge of bankruptcy. And today Tesla is a $1 trillion company. Elon Musk, obviously, is the world's most valuable human being, which is quite remarkable. And another one of your, I know one of your mentors and somebody that you're very close to and you talk about is Masa, the founder of SoftBank. And I think every 3 or 4 years, right, I think everybody sort of says, like, oh my God, SoftBank, X, Y, Z, whatever it is, every 3 or 4 years, the narrative is very different. And the only thing that we know about Masa is every time he comes back, he's bigger than he was before. So I think that the way to think about Vijay Shekhar Sharma is he's the perennial entrepreneur. Much like all great entrepreneurs, he's going to do things that are really big and bold. And every few years, everybody thinks that, oh, well, what happened, right? And I think the only thing you can sort of safely predict, and I think if I was to forecast, I'd say is, a few years from now, it's going to be just bigger than it ever was. And, Paytm is. So Vijay, thank you for being what who you are. Thank you for doing what you do. And I'm going to start with my very first question, Vijay. I mean, India's largest IPO, largest issue. Paytm went public, priced at 20 rupees. I haven't checked the price today, but I think it's at 12 or 13 rupees. I think you probably got more flack. By the way, you've gotten flack all your life. You probably got more flack, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think, for the IPO. But I wanted to start with this, which is like, what happened with this IPO?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Rajan, for so many superlatives. As you know, when Rajan is speaking nice about friends whom he loves, I know that he treats me as a very good friend. So I can say that his superlatives and adjectives just keep flowing. So thank you for being that kind, Rajan. And I can say that obviously the journey just started. You know, it's that. And to the IPO question, Rajan, I went through some data check, as you love to prefer. So I built this dashboard for you.
My gosh, you have a dashboard. Very good.
I have a dashboard for you because I knew it.
Go through it.
I knew it that you would want to see the data.
I love data. I love data.
Yeah. So this is Square, which is now called Block. This is PayPal. This is Afterpay. This is Freshwork, another India. And this is, I've taken the 6 month. You know the percentages.
Yeah.
So you know the percentages. I mean.
So first thing you're saying is, don't lose a lot of sleep because some of the other major IPOs, right?
Everything that we are comped against, everything that we are put against or put as a comp against whom we would be comparing ourselves to, it's sort of poop.
Markets are down, right? Yeah, Freshwork is down a lot.
Actually, the numbers are that we are this and everybody else is like crazy.
And is this from the time of IPO?
I've just done last 6 months.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
So actually, I've just done 6 months. What has happened in the world market?
Yeah. So 197, just so that you went through that very quickly. Can you put that back up, Vijay? I think it's because I don't know whether the audience can see it. Because
this is us. This is Paytm.
So Paytm is down 27%. Block, which you said is what? PayPal. Square is down 40%. PayPal is down 40%. Freshworks is down 50%. Afterpay is down 40%. Got it.
So the interesting thing is that, Rajan, while what happened to IPO is still a question, but I just want to tell you that globally, we probably went in at a time when QE, free money, and many other parameters brought a little bit of spook out of the market in terms of pricing. And if you take, Rajan, South American companies they are 70+% down, 70+% down. So boom. Well, that is not the reason for it completely. That's a macro reason. The better reason I could say is that I think as Paytm, we are a payment company. Everybody understands it. And payment has a derivative revenue line item in financial services and driven by credit. The success of Paytm will be that what we do of the monetization led by financial services. Because payment is a revenue line item which is growing and massively growing. This quarter, we are talking about in the range of $100 million revenue from payments, which is like a sizable revenue. Maybe the whole industry's significant number of consumer players could.
That's quarterly revenue, Vijay, or that's annual revenue?
That's quarterly only for payments.
Only for payments. Okay, so payments itself is a 400 million run rate business.
Yeah, that's
not a high gross margin, or what's the gross margin?
It's actually 10+%, 2 digits. And percentage contribution margin. If you add merchant services with it, that becomes nearly 140 million and margins grow like 30-40%. So I would say that people underestimate the size of payment revenue, and thanks to the government of India, MITY, giving UPI P2P money transfer versus merchant to money, consumer to merchant, which is we are the market leader of, making us even money in UPI. So payment has revenue. The financial services, which is a credit business, Rajan, I'm going to say something which I'm very proud of, and I really mean it when I say this, that what we should be benchmarked upon. Number one, we've done payments. We are there in payments as the largest revenue, probably more revenue than some of everybody else's revenue. So that's the statement that I'm going to say on the payments, and growing minimum 50%, 60% year on year. I mean, every year that you're seeing the numbers.
Correct. So your core business is 100 million a quarter, growing at 50% year on year.
140 million a quarter, because payment and other merchant services come together. I was quoting absolutely the payment only in that, and other merchant services are the services like loyalty program and every other thing that you can add to it. So core business is that. Financial services is led by credit. Credit is the most monetizable financial services. And the best thing I want to tell you, Rajan, and I want to put ourselves up against, and this is because I have the highest respect regard. If you remember, Aditya Puri once upon a time said that I would love Paytm on the day when he makes some money. Actually, right? And I think that was...
By the way, when he says money, he means profits, huh?
Rajan, I'm confirming. I'm actually confirming that of the line items that I'm talking
We
about.
should have got Mr. Puri also. No, I want to do a fireside chat with Mr. Puri. I must call him. You know, all three of us.
Rajan, we will put this up as a TBD of next year.
Yeah. Actually, we'll tell Subho. Maybe the next IMI we should do it.
We should have it, right? And I want to quote Rajan that number that I remember. I mean, I have highest regard for Mr. Puri, and I was like, okay, so here is a gentleman who's respectfully told me that I will love you on the day, respect you on the day that makes money. So Rajan, I just want to tell you that payment we make money, like contribution profit, like
You're
profit.
okay, got it. After everything, after all costs.
Profit.
Okay.
It's profit.
Right.
So that's like, I'm surprised that people don't know this in this country, but we make profit, so it is. Now,
So by the way, they're probably surprised because you don't tell them. No, did you disclose that? I mean, have you like?
yeah, we've disclosed these things. There are contribution margins publicly disclosed out there, and considering that there is no business independently created, so we don't have EBITDA written like that. We have a consolidated EBITDA, but contribution margins, we are talking very publicly about those. So these numbers are publicly disclosed incidentally. So speaking of that, Rajan, and I want to tell you that we are so proud of one line item of revenue business that we are building as a next product out of payments. It is credit. So in India, if you have a non-bank and you have a benchmark in credit company, which one would it be, Rajan?
Bajaj Finance.
Love it. 30 plus years, 32 years.
Yeah.
Paytm does more loans than Bajaj in less than 3 years.
Oh, really? But what about the average loan size?
Because the trick, this is exactly what I was asked in the payment we grew. What about the average ticket size? Your ticket size is 200 rupees. The success of payment was ticket size was 200 rupees. The success of credit in this country, Rajan, will be when somebody can do the credit of the size that we are giving, and that credit is coming back to the
Yeah, high quality credit, right? Low.
It actually, so rather than saying ticket size, you should say, wow, what is the quality of credit? Because Rajan, I want to.
What is the quality of credit? So give us some sense of what's the quality of credit.
The best thing I can tell you is that the companies do not give, we generate lead gen, we generate lead gen, and we don't give any FLDG guarantee, etc. So we don't have any control over what the.
So this is not off your own book.
Oh, this is partners, all partners book.
Okay.
And then this money is, they look at the annual performance of the portfolio because they are the underwriters based on whatever the partnership detail technology that we would have built. And they give us the money at the year end for the good portfolio performance or whatever we make. I can tell you on a rotating basis and on a whole year, the COVID has crossed 2 times over.
Right.
And I told you that we started it. Now this is the 3rd year of operations that we are talking about when we are going here. So the best thing I can tell you, Rajan, is we not only make contribution profit into this line item, the partners are so happy that they are going to expand even more, and more number of partners are in the queue today than ever before.
And do you disclose, Vijay, the dispersals per month on the platform or not? I want you to share because you're a public company.
We do.
What is the monthly dispersals on the platform?
I think
whatever you can disclose. By the way, you I don't know whether you made your earnings or not. So don't tell us numbers that you're not supposed to.
This is here. I'm quoting from the.
Okay, these are public. Correct.
Look at this.
4 million loans. Wow.
In a quarter.
Per quarter.
The value.
2,000 crores. Okay, got it.
In a quarter.
And how is the growth? What is the growth? They're doubling every quarter on quarter, or what is it?
You can guess.
Oh, wow. Okay. 365%. That's huge.
Like, I mean, I just want to tell you one thing, Rajan, the credit business, we should be benchmarked against only one guy, that is Bajaj. And we should be looked at for the scale that we deliver in terms of loans and the total value and the quality of loans. Rajan, the problem I want to tell you, because immediately extempore, you asked me ticket size, and I have an opinion on that. The problem of our country has been from the companies who give loan, which is namely the banks and NBFCs, to the people who track them. The wrong metrics they changed was the size of loan size. The better metrics they should have changed is quality of loan size.
Yeah.
If we would have had 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 rupees loan as a part of the business model, we would have had a better country today.
Yeah, no, and I remember, by the way, and I never forget this, which is you always talked about this, right? In the 90s when you were starting up, right? You'd wanted to sort of change India, and this was one of the things, which is, can you make credit available to everybody?
Rajan, I want to tell you this today. Our success when we are quoting, as you can see the numbers that we very profoundly are quoting, 4.4 million loans a quarter, more than 1 million loan a month for sure. On a run rate basis, you can guess that it is so.
Did we lose Vijay?
Yes.
We lost Vijay. Radhika, you want to ping him and tell him because he's probably speaking away. Oh, there you're back. You're back. We lost you for a second.
Oh,
You said on a run rate basis, you were saying something and then we lost you.
oh, I'm just saying it run rate basis. It is millions of customers who are getting loans a month, millions.
So the
And-
average loan ticket size is 200 rupees, is it?
No. I was saying that in the payment, people said that your payment.
What is the average loan size here? I can do the math. So it's
You know.
4.4 million, 2,000 crores. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So it's 4,000 rupees plus 5,000 rupees. The beauty is that the partners are loving it and they are able to make money, size of portfolio, quality, and then they are continuing the business as expanding the business.
So what is your net revenue? Like you said, right? 140 million a quarter is payments. So from the credit business, because you're a platform, right? You have a take rate. What's the net revenue, Vijay, in the credit business?
Rajan, this will be the disclosable information that I have not disclosed.
Okay, fine. That's
so
fine.
this is what I would not disclose. I'm disclosing what is publicly out there.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm very
one
curious.
thing I can tell you once again is that with the cost that credit has, including the people, engineering, and everything else, it already makes money.
Got it. Okay.
That's what matters.
So what are the businesses then that are dragging you down in terms of, like, when are you going to be PAT positive?
I mean, because this is a forward-looking statement, so I would be
You
conscious.
have to be very careful. Yeah.
I should be careful. What I can tell you is that based on what you are seeing, the growth of revenue and the cost reduction, we are increasingly becoming better revenue, lesser cost. And that is quarter on quarter, year on year, very clearly visible. And I think that is what the trend I would rather prefer to quote instead of quoting a timeline, because I fundamentally believe that people are underestimating the compounding impact that the customer base on this platform has.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing, Rajan, that typically you guys, because you come from consumer internet, you would ask is, so what's your retention and churn? How many new customers come in?
What is the retention and churn?
And that, Rajan, I want to tell you is phenomenally, thanks to the friends whom you referred and people from places where you know have come to the company. The company has become, we spend much less than any year ever, and we have more user any year than ever, and at a pace growing which is phenomenal. I mean, Ravi Adusumali very fondly would say, I know that some point of time you were valued more than what you were worth some point of time in your private rounds. But today I can tell you you're phenomenally undervalued than what you are phenomenally ever been. The gap is dramatically other side. And then I put it back again, Rajan. The best thing I fondly can say is that it's a business that has a compounding and people will underestimate when it flips. That is what I can tell you. Because the point is that they are not understanding this growth rate of payment, the growth rate of credit, only these two line items.
Yeah, no, and I think one of the things you had said after, at the end of the first day of the listing is the business model is not as well understood, right? I think.
Oh yeah, that's another
thing
problem.
that maybe you all can do.
Yeah, I was reading a particular report, which newspaper today morning on Times of India, and it said that there is a regulatory pressure of pricing on payments. I thought that regulatorily we make more money than what we had envisaged in AOP or when we envisaged a number. For example, like we never thought UPI will give us money. It gave us hundreds of crores. Surprisingly, publicly, it's out there. How much money will come in the ratio of P to M, you can guess. And there is a 1,300 crores, so it will come hundreds of crores to us, which was never expected. Similarly, when it is called out on prepaid or wallets, there is a prepaid benchmark out there. We would get disbursed and available on literally every merchant, more money. So payment could have never seen better regulatory push than today. And regulatory meaning regulatory or government, I'm trying to say.
Right.
So, I mean, I can only underestimate. So this is another funny thing I want to quote. I was like, oh my God, this is so cheap. Why can't I buy? So I went to my compliance officer. He said, you for 6 months can't buy. I'm like, okay.
I know. I think, Vijay, look, obviously you're a publicly traded company, so you have to be very careful what you can say, and I should be careful of what questions I ask you. But I do think once that 6 month period is over, it'll be great to have you go out and buy a share.
Rajan, I cannot tell you that it's a related party, conflicted party, everything, because I understand the business. But I cannot tell you enough that how importantly, I can say this profoundly to everyone, because we've always said it, that our business has never looked better than this. And
that's good.
Better in terms of scale, better in terms of revenue, better in terms of profits, better in terms of contributions, and better in terms of long-term compounding gains. That's another level that I've learned. Long-term compounding.
That's awesome. And by the way, I have no doubt that whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 quarters from now, right, business will look very, very different. Hey, so let's build on this. By the way, I'm sorry to the audience. I know that sounded like an analyst call with Vijay Shekhar. But by the way, I got literally, I think I counted like 22 questions on what happened to the IPO, asked different ways. So I thought we should spend time on that. But let's now shift gears beyond Paytm to the fintech landscape, Vijay.
Yeah.
What's your sense of what is the state of fintech? Obviously, payments has scaled. I mean, the big question in payments was, where's the money in payments? Obviously, you're saying it. Paytm obviously generates lots of money.
We're generating $500 million.
Yeah, $500 million payments business, which is remarkable. But as you think about fintech and what's next, what is just maybe spend a couple of minutes on current state of fintech and over the next 3, 4, 5 years. And this is not Paytm, right? As the overall industry, where do you see things going, and what are you excited about when you think about fintech in India over the next 4, 5 years?
So there are two things that are driving fintech. One is consumers' acceptance of digital as a mobile phone and smartphones-led businesses. And then consumers' acceptance of mobile payment, which means they're ready for moving money or taking money decisions using smartphones. Now, both two things are pegged on payment success. And ultimately, payment success is phenomenal. I mean, I don't have to talk about every month, every quarter, every year. You see the numbers, RBI publishes them, indexes them. They are fantastic. I mean, I cannot believe that as in India, we are going to cross $1 trillion for sure. And I'm talking all payment options: credit card, debit card, UPI, wallet, NEFT, RTP.
What are we at today? We're at about 300 billion, right? About $1 billion a day. I mean, $1 billion.
Yeah. I mean, that run rate belongs to, at our level, we are able to say this. I mean, we are talking about 2.5 lakh crores, because I know Hindi, Indian numbers here. So I'm going to quote that for us as a company. So that number is definitely growing. What it gives, Rajan, is the ability of customers to trust apps for something else in financial services. So classically, sequentially, if payment is an entry point, banking will be the immediate next. So consumers will need bank account. I mean, maybe it, some banks block you from money transfers, some banks block you from number of money transfers and so on. So efficient, scalable banks, so banking itself, bank account itself is an opportunity. Then bank account brings credit, which is exactly what the biggest opportunity of fintech in India is, clearly there. I have a slide, by the way, I can tell you this also.
Yeah. Why don't you show it to us? Latika, how much time do we have, Latika? I know we don't have much. We have like 10 minutes left or what? Latika?
Okay, so I'm going to show you that this is what India's fintech would be. This is something that is happening. Okay, this is something $3 trillion from $600 billion. FY21 numbers. Remember, this is behind and this is FY.
I think we are now. Yeah, maybe. Okay, got it. I think we are now a little higher than that. No, we almost.
Yeah. So this is combined cumulative. You know what I'm saying? Previous year. Okay, now this is where the revenue is. Largest revenue pie. This is AUM. This is not revenue of wealth. This is AUM. This is the revenue of insurance. So if you notice, the insurance will be not as much by brokerage, as much by the insurance itself, ticket manufacturing, because this is the revenue, gross GWP, premium written.
Yeah, brokerage about 10% of that, right?
But the worst part is it is still 1/4 of lending. And this is the total AUMs. So you can make it about 1% to 2% of this revenue, 100, which is again at a number which is this number. So net payment gives birth to credit. And this is actually so big as an opportunity. So opportunity.
Oh, those are big numbers, huge numbers.
Actually, straightforward. India's fintech would grow from payment to credit. There will be wealth, there will be insurance, but in a dollar value basis, they will not be that large.
Got it. So you're saying lending is where the money is.
Lending, so payment and credit.
Most
Paytm
amount of money is.
Payment and credit, Paytm story.
Got it. Got it. Okay, cool. Hey, now let's maybe shift gears to regular. So I think what you're saying is, look, game has started, but long way to go. Massive upside, etc. Now, from a fintech standpoint, Vijay, obviously there's a lot of regulatory stuff that's going on. What do you, I mean, there's a lot to be excited about, right? I mean, obviously started with UPI, now you've got account aggregator, you've got open, and whatever else that's going to come, public digital infrastructure frameworks, protocols that are being built. But from a regulatory standpoint, what are you excited about? And also, what are you worried about? Maybe with excited about, well, this whole thing about a full-fledged digital bank. I mean, you already have a bank, but like, tell us a little bit about what are you excited about regulatory and what are you worried about? Can be fintech as well as broader.
The best thing I like about our regulators is our regulators are very forward-looking. It took time for us to explain to them how the digital distribution of loan is going to work. And this is June 2020, Rajan. June 2020. Can you beat it? June 2020, RBI came out with a guideline on credit. And RBI came out, as you can guess, other guidelines which happened on different point of time. So I'm very excited about this, how RBI takes care of and makes these businesses of scale very comfortable to a scale, because typically what happens is that when you are on a very large number and then the rule of game change, that's very concerning. The beauty is that these businesses and opportunities from regulator point of view are day one. RBI did P2P lending much before India even saw P2P lending. RBI did digital credit distribution, which is never believed to be at this stage when it was. And this is exactly what is taking phenomenal. What I'm concerned about a lot of people who are underestimating how regulator wants to treat you or see you, and they're living on the edge. So a lot of companies live on the edge. I mean, the understanding you should have is that you cannot, playing with regulators' intentions by acting smart is like acting smart with your mother, and she may not be very forgiving.
Right.
Because they know it. They just know it. Oh, come on, Mama, I did not do it. No. You don't need to tell me. No, I can see it. People think that I can say point A to point B to point to point C, and this is totally fine. No. Never underestimate ability of a regulator in this country or other.
Good one, actually. Yeah. Don't underestimate the Indian regulator, right? They're, on the one hand, they're very...
So they're very, in fact, I want to tell you, Rajan, that the Indian regulators are the one that are developing the market. The fintech revolution in this country is, the real champion is regulator, actually.
No, that's a great quote, by the way. And I do agree with you. I do think that in general, India has had a very progressive regulatory.
Very.
All right, let's shift gears now to, by the way, there was 13 people who asked this question. Can they ever see Vijay Shekhar Sharma on Shark Tank?
I rather not be that instead of be a change agent. I mean, do you see Mike Morris, like Rajan, on a Shark Tank by yourself? No. Do you see Mark Andreessen on Shark Tank? No. So it is meant for a particular type of things, but I'm not the one.
No, maybe fair point. Like everybody, it's for some folks, but not for not for others. So let's now go beyond fintech and regulation to the broader startup ecosystem, Vijay. We have about 7-8 minutes left. So what are the top 2 or 3 outside of fintech? Obviously, you're in fintech, that's the business you're in. You've got a few other adjacencies. I know you've invested in lots of companies. You're very big on climate, etc. But what are some, like, as you think about the Indian ecosystem, let's say for the next decade, what are some 2 or 3 segments or sectors that you're super excited about? Not as Paytm per se.
Yeah, got it. I think electric vehicle overall ecosystem, supply, demand, servicing, delivering, or electric charging, everything. EV is an ecosystem that is waiting to scale at unprecedented numbers. We can see neighboring country, we can see the globally large number of countries. It's an opportunity of resetting automobile, which is one of the largest sector of industries any which ways. So electric vehicle ecosystem for me is large. It would open up new opportunities, new players, new experiences. By the way, I now own an EV. And
which one did you get?
This is not a public disclosure.
S1? You got an S1?
No, I did not get a Tesla yet in India, but I got
S1, yeah, like Ola, Bhavesh's company.
Oh, I said I drive a EV.
Oh, you drive? I thought, I've been waiting for my Ola, I don't know. I mean, I keep messaging Bhavesh.
Not a scooter, but I'm driving.
Scooter, I want a scooter, no? I mean, I want a scooter.
Yeah, then I obviously pre-booked there, by the way, on that note. So my theory, Rajan, is that once you ride an EV, you don't go back to gas and mechanical. I mean, it's a mechanical engineering basis growth versus electrical.
Okay, by the way, are you driving an EV now?
Now, as we speak, in the last my 1 month, I've been only driving.
Very good. I must also
get amazing.
And
it's an amazing
charge. I mean, you have charging points at home.
It is exactly what is telling me. It's a huge opportunity. Obviously, it is a little bit of complex to get through to all those problems. So EV is one. Second, I would put, Rajan, is healthcare is contemporary. Healthcare is underestimated. Healthcare is where customer is ready to spend money. Obviously, there is no doubt about it. Crypto I could have called, but this is in the fintech, again, in the finance ecosystem. So beyond financial services ecosystem, I'm going to say electric vehicles and health is underestimated. Electric vehicle is at the door. And commerce is done. I would rather say that commerce is done in terms of scale, etc.
You think commerce is done? You don't think we're going to see many more like major e-commerce innovations in India?
I think the commerce is done, meaning there is no more next level of major innovation pending to happen. For example, like,
what do you think about this open network digital commerce? This government has a new initiative. Yeah. Are you familiar with that, Vijay?
Yeah, we are the part of it. We are part of it, and I think the Paytm Malls e-commerce, I would switch completely to that.
Okay, very good. You heard it here. You heard it here from Vijay Shekhar Sharma. There you go. Minister Goyal will be very excited. You must tell him because he's asking for who's going to bet on this.
I would bet completely on it. So I'm totally believer of these systems. Healthcare. So Rajan, I want to tell you, health stack that Dr. Rajesh Sharma is building is something that every entrepreneur should know of and build on. So that is why I was quoting health and e-commerce later.
So you're okay, got it. So basically electric mobility ecosystem and health would be the two big.
Correct. And I'm saying that e-commerce and edtech, e-commerce mature, edtech getting mature.
Got it. Yeah. No, agreed. Hey, I had a question on funding. Like obviously last year was historic year for India's startup ecosystem. We had $35 billion of funding. Obviously today's young founders think that, raising 10, 20, 30 million, rounds with no revenue, sometimes no product, is the norm. They haven't grown up sort of when you grew up or when I started investing as an angel. What advice would you have for young, or I should say new entrepreneurs who are starting up, or maybe for some of our not so new entrepreneurs who haven't really gone into your phase, right? Now you're accountable to the public market.
Yeah.
And there's one thing, what advice would you have for them?
So just like life and death are realities, it is clear that there will be an incredible wave of funding, incredible wave. It comes, by the way, every 10 years, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like you remember 99, 89, 99, 2001, I can quote those years, and 2011, 12, 13, it is 21, 22, 23. So 2 or 3 more years of money, and then after that, sort out. By the year end comes.
By the way, you think this will last for another 2 years?
It could last another 2 years comfortably, because by the way, the market have started to show that it may not, because public market, like I showed you.
You just shared the data. You started with the data, right?
Yeah. So by the way, rather there is a lag effect.
Yeah.
There is a money that has got committed, and there is a tremendous amount of money that came in. I mean, America just gave everybody tons of dollars. I should say trillions of dollars. Where has to go? So that has to go place. But the point is that once that dollar settles, wherever it settles, debt, equity, private, public, emerging, developed, it would not be that there would be tremendous amount of this fraud. But at the same point in time, this is incredible movement for taking risk and taking chance. If you are a new player, take a chance on yourself, my friend. This is the best time you could ever see in next 10 years. That's what I'm going to say.
All right. Well, there you go, Vijay. Optimistic as always. Okay, I'm going to end with my last question, which is crypto. You mentioned it briefly. Web3 is upon us. Obviously India is sort of undecided. I think whether to ban or to regulate. It sounds like, both Honorable Finance Minister has said that we're not going to ban. And then I think Prime Minister has, I don't know exactly what he said, but I think he's in the camp of probably not banning. But tell us a little bit about like Web3 and India. I mean, how important do you think Web3 is, and what do you think India should do? I'm not talking about Indian entrepreneurs. Obviously, they should go build Web3 companies, right? Now, unfortunately, today they're building companies and moving to, I said Singapore, you said Dubai, right? We were responding to Pankaj Jain's tweet.
I mean, Rajan, I was in Dubai for Thai conference, and a number of crypto entrepreneurs that are Indian, led by Indians, companies are phenomenally large. I mean, I'm sure you know about Polygon. Sandeep and team, that's like a boom. That's like a, I'm so proud that we have a company like Polygon there. I mean, I really mean it that sincerely.
Totally
That we
agree.
have our
I think
stake.
those
I mean,
guys are rock stars.
I want to call on them to say salutes to the effort and energy and scale they've built. And as you know, they are developing a chain, which means that they have to sign up developers, and that's a global fight they're fighting. They're not fighting a IAM Venn diagram.
This is the ecosystem play, right? L2 chain, absolutely.
So it's a beautiful scale, I could say. Fighting Solana just in case in Ethereum, and oh my God, what a scale. So what should India do? Is that the question that you asked?
So the question is, what should India do from a Indian government, right? Like, I mean, you know, there's the RBI would like to ban crypto, others would like to regulate crypto, entrepreneurs would like to not do anything. So what should India do?
No technology should be blocked. Technology should be shaped and given an opportunity. Otherwise, blocking means that there will be all kind of illegal things that happen. And this is too large a technology to be paused. So I would rather expect the regulators and governments to come together to structure it and say that this is what we allow, this is what we don't allow, and come out clearly on it. For example, like people are buying crypto and there is a LRS, dollar spends, that when you spend money outside of India, that comes under LRS in India. And that dollar then goes into an asset class that is not controlled by anyone. No, you could just put it under LRS. That, okay, all the money that goes there, I would count it under LRS, and what is the limit that I'm putting on that, so that people can buy if they are ready to buy the assets. And I'm not for common people to buy these assets, because this is extremely risky, not risky, but extremely risky. And fundamental wise, people are not able to understand why coin price go up and down. It is not very easy to understand for people. So I would rather say that they come out and then they hold people together and hold responsible, instead of staying away. And then you have TV ads, then you have large newspapers. Everybody is making money on crypto. Everybody, including all media organizations and the crypto companies, if you notice, right? I mean, there is IPL was all about crypto this year, right? And then similarly, print newspapers that you see. So I would rather say that government and regulator come together to make a clear policy of this is what we don't like. Even if they have to say, they should say that we don't like, so that it is clear to the people that, oh, this is not. Now I'm doing something, it would be. That's how
I agree. I do think
clarity is more important. Clarity is more important than a stand on which side.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think it's very important for consumers, as you said. I think banning is a terrible idea. I think not doing anything is not a good idea, right? So yeah, I think taking a proactive position and doing something that protects consumers, but also encourages innovation, right? What worries me most, Vijay, is basically every single good crypto entrepreneur is leaving India, right? Either they're going to Dubai or they're going to Singapore, because why would you stay in a country where it's undecided?
Yeah, Rajan, another thing I want to tell you is that for the first time, India's opportunity is world discovered and known.
Yeah, it's global.
The number of people that are coming to India is phenomenally big. I mean, if you are a technology entrepreneur for consumer or small businesses, India is the best place to build. That has got proven talent, size, market, revenue, money raise, everything sorted. And in that market, there is a particular set of attraction of a category that is pushing people outside. And I hope that doesn't happen.
Terrific. All right. With that, Vijay, I think we are pretty much at time. Latika is on. Thank you, Vijay, for your time. Always a great pleasure to spend time with you. And audience, I hope I couldn't get to the hundreds of questions that I got, but I tried to combine them into, hopefully I managed to get from Vijay what we all wanted to hear. Latika,
thank you, Rajan. And I wish that I had a couple of questions to you, because now that you've changed your hat from being an operator to an investor, you have tremendous amount of experience. I see your tweet. I wish, Latika, we had some more time for me to ask you questions, but for another day.
We'll have to do that next time.
So last one question. We have 2 minutes. Last one question. Vijay, if you want to ask.
Rajan, being an operator who makes money and sees people making money, to an investor who sees entrepreneurs who are not thinking about it, but they're thinking of something larger art, how is it to be on this side of the table, and how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I think it's very different, Vijay. In many ways, look, it's a different business, right? I mean, the business of investing, especially venture capital investing, is very different from being an operator running sort of a scaled up technology business. And in many ways, it requires, the single biggest thing I've learned doing what I'm doing now, Vijay, for about 2.5 years, is the most important thing is to unlearn everything that you've learned and to be completely open-minded every single day. Because everything that you think, won't work, a lot of those things will end up working. And the things that you think will work won't work. And it all boils down to, especially, where I focus all my time, Vijay, as you know, is at seed stage, right? It is only one thing that matters. It is the founders, the founder or the co-founding team, and what they're really capable of.
So when company grows and VCs look at the scale in the team, they sort of bring a CFO from outside. The popular companies who target CFOs are Wipro, GE, and so on. There is a pattern of companies that people seek CFO, and they bring other people in the team. What's your opinion on this learn experience when these new executives that come from traditional companies find themselves at the new companies in a interestingly tough environment because their rules, regulations, or understanding of what happens in the world is not working? At the same point in time, the leader is rushing at a different pace. What is your advice to entrepreneurs and VCs?
I think you have to hire very carefully, right? I do think experience matters a lot, right? Because one of the things I see with a lot of entrepreneurs when they try to scale is, they getting from 0 to 1, as you know, is very different skill set from 1 to 10, from 10 to 100, from 100 to 1,000, right? Each of those phases requires very different skill sets. And I think it is very important to bring leaders who have that scaled up experience. But I think, Vijay, you also have to look for agility, right? Like, there are people who are able to quickly unlearn and learn. So leverage all the experience that you have, but also really adapt to a new environment. Most very seasoned operating leaders struggle with that, right? Because one of the reasons you're so successful is because you're, doing that. So I think it's about, like, can you find those set of leaders who ideally, look, I think what excites me about the Indian ecosystem, Vijay, is, 5 years from now, right, we will have dozens of CFOs who would have taken startups public successfully. Then we have a pool to draw from, right? So today, a lot of CFOs haven't taken startups public. So number one, they haven't worked in a startup. Number two, they haven't taken it public, right? So, but 5 years from now, that will change. So I think you have to carefully balance that.
Wow.
Thank you so much. That comes to an end. I know, just like me, all the viewers want to hear more and more. It shouldn't be stopping here. Next time, I'll make sure that I may give an hour and not 40 minutes for this session. Thank you so much, Vijay and Rajan, for that amazing chat. Remember the trend to follow as suggested by Rajan and Vijay: unlearn everything you have learned, better revenue and lesser cost. The sectors to look out are EV, healthcare, and like they all both have suggested, 10 years for digital economy. The great years are yet to come. Thank you once again, all the viewers, and thank you, Vijay and Rajan, once again. Thank you.